All right, that sounds great, guys. Let's do this. First, I want to just say thank you, everybody, for coming back in tonight. We did not think that we were going to have to do a call tonight. As you remember from last Thursday, we were feeling very, very good. We're still feeling very, very good about what's going on, and the timing for this is extremely good, and I would use the term imminent. I would use that term. I don't use that term too often, but I would say that we are imminent based on information that has come out to me today. And I would just first of all like to give a shout out to everybody on the fourth and fifth floor today. Thanks for coming in and listening and being part of our call. And actually, I'd like to also shout out to all of our international listeners. We have a reach that's taken us into Europe and Scandinavia, a little bit down into the Middle East, some into the Far East, a little bit down into Central America, down into Argentina, South Africa, and into Australia, New Zealand. And we just want to welcome all of those that are listening in, and especially not only the listeners, but those that are part of the financial system that have tuned in and maybe tuned in again tonight. I always find out after the call approximately how many people came in and how many people asked for the phone number for our call to come in. And I know we had somewhere over 1,150 or so on last Tuesday's call that came in, and 757 were from outside the U.S. and Canada. So it seems like our international group is expanding a little bit. So welcome, everybody. Good to have you here. And let's get into a little bit about where we are with our timing and the intel. What's unusual about today was we had a lot of good information over the last few days. And we knew some things were happening here and there, and all of that was doing very well. We actually thought we could have had a go even for this morning. And we didn't get the go this morning, but there were some things accomplished overnight. And what happened is we're finding out that all of these pieces to this puzzle are starting to come together. And it really starts to make some sense to me now. Today was funny because most of the day there was very little that we were getting in the way of good information. And then somehow, a little bit later, some information came in and it corroborated sort of what I had heard from some other people. So I started to get, that type of information that was agreeing with the other. The confirmations were starting to come in and add up. And I feel really good when you get some solid information confirmed from three or more different sources that don't know each other and are maybe in different circles. So, that's always encouraging. And we got some of that tonight. So I'm real happy about that. What is going on in Iraq is so strange because they've had their communication outside of their country cut. I think it was 2 days ago. They had their social media, their Twitter, their Facebook, their Instagram, and their Snapchat. All four of those were compromised and filtered heavily to where the information really wasn't coming out. We also heard that Al Jazeera, for example, was also heavily filtered with no information coming out of Iraq. So we're thinking, well, why is that? Why is it that they want to not report what's happening? I'll tell you one thing that was happening. Leaflets were being dropped in mass quantities over the western portion of Mosul, and this was from the air. I'm going to say tens of thousands. There may have been hundreds of thousands, but I know for sure tens of thousands of leaflets were dropped from the plane to tell the citizens that we have the victory. We have the victory is what it said, and I'm sure it said it in Arabic. Maybe it said it in English too, but I know it said it in Arabic. So that was a very positive move. I think that what's happening in Mosul is they have those two flagpoles that are quite large with these large 60 foot by, what is it, 60 or 80? 60 foot by 38 foot flags that they're going to put on both sides of the Tigris River. And I believe those have not yet been put up, but I know that that's a symbol of having the country, having the city of Mosul back, completely back. And we know that, for example, I can't remember the date now because it's been, I think, since the last call, that all of the banks in Iraq were synchronized. But I know that there were two banks on the western part of the city of Mosul that had not yet come up. Now, they might have needed, I don't know what they needed, whether they needed to be rebuilt, whether they needed new computers, what they needed, I don't know. But I know that those had not yet come up a couple of days ago. I don't know if they're up and running now. I would think they could very well be, and that might be something that needed to be done from Iraq's perspective. The reason I say that is I believe it was yesterday. And remember, when we have a weekend like this, and I get information from Thursday night after the call all the way to tonight, in that 5-day period, some of the information tends to run together, and I can't exactly remember what day I heard it. But what I did hear, I think it was a couple days ago, was that the key cards, spelled Q-I, I think it's pronounced key, the key cards, or the so-called debit cards in Iraq, all had the same rate in Iraq loaded, and they were paying out the people, and it went about 5 to 5.5 hours of paying the people out on those cards, and then they stopped. And I think they stopped possibly because of this banking situation in western Mosul. I don't know that for a fact, but I believe it stopped, and I don't know, I did not hear for what period of time it stopped and then whether it was resumed. Again, I'm going to make the assumption that it did get fixed and they got their cards resumed throughout the country. But there's obviously a celebration mood going on in Iraq. We know that there's an announcement that will be coming about the take back of Mosul. I don't know for sure if Abadi is going to make it there, but I know that he is planning a trip here, and I don't know when that's going to be. I think it's this week, but we'll just see how that is integrated into what other announcements might be coming out this week. But I would say that would put Iraq pretty much, you can call Iraq done, I believe. They have their sovereignty, they have their rate. The rate was published in the Gazette, but it won't show up on that CBI until they're ready for everybody to know about it internationally, okay, including us in this country, all right? So that's kind of what I know about Iraq right now. Now, when it comes to our country, we know that in the western portion of the U.S. here, that it's sort of a hub, and some things have been taking place that have needed to be done with agreements, with payouts of sort of the group status of some of the prepaids or advance pays. I believe we're in position to be paid. I don't know if they were paid quite yet. There's a lot of preparation that's getting ready right now, that we're sort of in high preparation mode right now. In terms of what we're hearing in our government, from our government, is that we're about to make this transition from the old to the new. Let's just say it that way tonight, from the old to the new. And so we also know that with that, there's a certain tally of our currency, from maybe an accounting perspective by the government. That needs to be um, complete. Now, I understand it was complete early in the morning. And, there's just some things that are moving along nicely for everything to show up and be ready. Tomorrow on the 15th is a significant day. It's when the new UN operational rates are supposed to show. My understanding today was that there were a couple of currencies that already made those changes, but I couldn't tell you which currencies they were. Uh, my understanding is shortly after midnight that some of those, well, I'm going to say I hope that the UN operational rates are available, that they are actually shown. Tomorrow's, a period where we might see some activity in that regard, and we should see a transition um, taking place over the next couple of days. All right. I've heard, different time frames for our notifications. It's conceivable that we might get a notification tonight, even before this call is over. Otherwise, I'm hearing some really good things about tomorrow and later tomorrow night. Uh, so I think really right now, the only thing I can tell you is you're in a great place to stay patient, to be thinking about what it is that you want to do with your newfound wealth, and hopefully you'll be part of our team when we work on our Veterans Retreat Network, when we come together and talk about putting together our Restore and Rebuild America program. It's actually called Rebuild America. So we're going to be doing that, involved heavily in that around the U.S., and we're also going to not neglect the rest of the world as well. We're just going to get started here first as part of the America First program. We're going to try to do what we need to do here, and then we'll branch out and help other portions of the world that we all have in our hearts to help. Okay? Because it is important that we don't take that talent that God's given us and bury it in the ground. It's important that we take that talent and put it out and essentially grow that talent. And that's what we're going to be doing with our humanitarian projects. So when it comes to rates, guys, we understand the rates are still very strong, very solid. I'll tell you the non-NDA rate for the ZIM is a little bit over $2, like a few cents over $2 right now. If you're inclined not to take an NDA on it, my personal feeling is to go ahead and negotiate a much higher rate than that, because we have a lot of projects that we want to do. And I think we can take these projects into 10, 20, even 50 years. We'll have longevity with our projects. We'll be building infrastructure through our projects. We'll be hiring, creating jobs, new hires with our project, and we'll be training people, especially on Rebuild America. We'll have an apprenticeship program with that, a mentorship program as part of that. With our veterans, we're going to have PTSD counseling for our vets. We'll have family-type counseling as well for the whole family as it's required. We'll also have job training for our vets that need to maybe take their training and take it into a slightly different direction. We have that too. Guys, we've got plans for somewhere between 80 and 100 veterans retreats throughout the United States. We've had a lot of people interested in the last 3 years in helping us with that, and we're going to try to do this program without involving outside support. We're going to try to do this, more or less internally, and try not to be under the scrutiny of all kinds of things in getting this thing out there and putting it out. But I think our veterans, when we get started, we should be the largest employer of veterans in the country. We really will when this thing cranks up and gets underway, because veterans are going to be helping us rebuild the structures on some of our retreats, or add new structures for housing and community development on those retreats, the venues themselves, the different sports venues that we have planned for the retreats, all of those things that you can imagine, from running a D9 bulldozer to just anything you can imagine in building roads in terms of there's so much that involves. We have 105 or 10 page business plan, and I'm sure we'll be expanding on that. And I look forward to that. Look forward to getting all that started. The reason I'm telling you this is I want you guys that are out there that may be thinking about partnering with the Big Call to understand that you may want to take more than the non-NDA rate for the ZIM. The other currencies are valuable too. Dinar, dong, rupiah, Afghani, they're all going to be valuable, but they pale in comparison to the value of the ZIM. We have a real blessing with that. They are gold-backed bonds now, and they have a very high value. So you have the ability to request a negotiable rate on the ZIM into 5 figures, well into 5 figures. And so I want you to just consider that when it comes to your own personal projects that you have. Plus, if you want to partner with us on Rebuild America, you'll be able to do that. And I mean some serious money. Forget trillions. I'm talking about quadrillions and more that we can have available. I'm hoping that the administration likes the concept of what we're doing with Rebuild America, and they want to sort of partner with us at arm's length and just be there to assist in the concept. We're not looking for any government money whatsoever. None, not a penny. Anything that we do is going to be privately funded. I want everybody to understand that. What we're trying to do is do a program that's in parallel with what our president wants to do in making America great again. Okay? So we want to do what we can do to help that and to work alongside the concept that our president has come up with the new administration and everybody else in the country that wants to help. Okay? But we're going to try to do this with total private funds. In fact, we don't want to take any money from anybody. We want you to set up your own either 501c3 or your own trust or your own foundation or whatever your CPAs and attorneys recommend, so that you can partner with us in concept in working with cities all across the country. I started with a concept of 5,000 listeners from the Big Call. We can have more than that. We can have a lot more. But let's say we start with 5,000 listeners that would give us 100 cities capability. And I know this is just a rough idea, 100 cities per state throughout the United States. And whether that involves 100 in Alaska or 100 in Hawaii may not be necessary to go that many. But to have the people come together with a concept that we'll put out on our new portal, our new website, as a way to communicate and say, okay, what are these guys doing in St. Louis? What are they doing in Nashville? What are they doing in Albuquerque? What are they doing in Denver? How about Dallas? What about Fort Worth? What about, Houston? Big opportunity. Some of these are larger cities. It doesn't have to be that way. We set it up to adopt a city, adopt a town, adopt a community. In other words, you can scale it as small or as large as you feel comfortable. And we will try to create a platform for it, and we'll try to create a concept that can be taken and used throughout the U.S. It may be slightly different in certain parts of the country. Architecture may be slightly different. We're going to try to pick up lots that are vacant. We're going to pick up homes that are run down, that may be completely razed, or they may be rebuilt, depending on the quality, the neighborhood. Let's just build it one home, one neighborhood at a time. And and we're not trying to get in front of this thing and be just, oh, watch us, we're doing this. No, we're trying to do this thing without creating a whole lot of, you know, stuff. We're trying to just do it, uh, you know, we're going to build it well. We're going to use good building techniques. We're going to use great materials. We plan to partner with the Home Depots and Lowe's and Sutherland's and Menards and all of those companies out there. We'll probably work with some manufacturers like Kohler and some other top brand manufacturers, and create opportunity for jobs as we rebuild this. And we'll work with the youth too. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Want the youth to be involved with behind the scenes as we speak. Certain documents need to be signed off. Certain documents have been signed off that involved the central banks around the world. And each status, just as a heads up, knowing that we're getting ready to go there. Did not give a time for when, but they're to make them aware of it. And I understand that that's a very positive step for us moving forward. So shout out to everybody at the Redemption Centers that are listening in. We're looking forward to partnering with you and working with you as we set this up. Thank you for all the banks that are ready to meet with us and set accounts up for us. HSBC, Wells Fargo, thank you AIIB. Thank you for our Canadian banks like RBC and TD Bank and Scotiabank. And so we're really in a position where a lot of money has moved around and put in position. Gold is in position to be used to back our currency. And we have that plan for not only our currency, but those around the world. Every currency will be asset-backed and primarily gold-backed. So that's really good to know as we move forward into this new stage, if you will, of our lives. So I think that's suitable for you to know that you're in a great position right now, and we could get a heads up tonight, or it might be in the next couple of days, but we do feel like it's right there